Looking at our first practice problem here, we want to make sure that we have the correct order of operations to compare it against. So we're going to start by writing PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, remembering that these two and these two are on the same level. And we look at problem 1, I just see subtraction and addition, which are on the same level. So I can just read left to right. 9 minus 15 gives me negative 6. When I add negative 6 plus 4, I'm left with negative 2. In problem 2, we need to start with the parentheses. So when we resolve what's happening inside the parentheses, 6 minus 2 gives me 4. Now I can deal with the other operation, which is multiplication. When I do 3 times 4, I get 12. For number 3, I don't see any parentheses, so where I need to begin. Oh, and I also don't see any exponents. So where I need to begin is with multiplication and division. Here's the multiplication, negative 5 times 4. That's going to give me negative 20. When I then subtract 7 from that, I get a total of negative 27. In problem 4, we begin inside the parentheses. Once we're inside the parentheses, this subtraction and this addition are at the same level. So I can do it in either order, but basically, if I go left to right, 3 minus 9 gives me negative 6. Then inside negative 6 plus 1 gives me negative 5. When I multiply that negative 5, which is the result of the parentheses, times 2, it gives me a total of negative 10. For problem number 5, exponent is the only thing that's happening here. This is saying 5 to the second power, in other words 5 times itself. 5 times 5 gives me 25. Here this is really telling me negative 5 times itself. So negative 5 times negative 5 also gives me positive 25. The difference between number 6 and number 7 is instead of multiplying the whole thing in parentheses, the negative 5 by itself, when I get to number 7, this squared is an exponent, which comes before the understood negative 1 being multiplied. So really this negative is part of a multiplication operation that we do after we resolve the exponent. So when I say resolve the exponent, really this turns into negative 1 times 5 times itself. 5 times 5 gives me 25, but only then do I multiply by the negative 1. So if it's just negative 5 squared like this, not in the parentheses, my answer is negative 25. For problems 8, 9, and 10, we have a fraction line. Really, there's an understood parentheses on top and bottom when I'm dealing with this fraction line. I need to resolve what's happening on top, resolve what's happening on bottom, before I try and divide and see if it reduces. So here on top, what's happening is 8 minus 14, which gives me a negative 6. When I then say, is there anything that goes evenly into both negative 6 and 3? There is. 3 goes in evenly. 3 goes in negative 2 times on top, 1 time on bottom. So this equals negative 2 over 1, or is the final answer just negative 2? For problem 9, I'm going to resolve the top first. 3 minus 1 gives me 2. Then I'm going to deal with the bottom. 6 plus 4 gives me 10. 2 goes into both 10 and 2. 2 goes into 2 1 time. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So my final answer there is 1/5. For the final problem, on top I'm resolving 6 minus 11. It gives me negative 5. On bottom I'm doing 4 minus a negative 1. Minus a negative really becomes a positive, because this is multiplying negative 1 times negative 1. So this turns into 4 plus 1, which is 5. When I have something over itself, that gives me 1. In this case, since there's a negative divided by a positive, my final answer is negative 1.